Good morning, everyone. Thank you, the ICT Regional Office 8, for inviting me in this event, for your interest in blockchain. And also, I think the whole country has awakened, or I would say at the very least, curious about what blockchain is, because it's been mentioned in the media. DBM is already using like a pilot deployment of blockchain in their systems. And as mentioned earlier, Senator Bam Aquino is pushing for a bill that will, I would say, institutionalize blockchain for budget, for the national budget. These are all good things, and these are all step in the right direction. But right now, I'd like you to I'd like to extend this idea further and fully explore, fully present the full extent of blockchain technology. Like, what can it really do for governments, for society in general? So the talk is entitled Blockchain and FinTech in Governance, a future of radical transparency and reduced centralization. Next slide, please. Okay, let's, I think, I was thinking how to start best the presentation, and I think it's a good jumping board is for us to review, if you had political science subjects before or constitution, like what really is the role of government. Most political thinkers agree of the top 3 roles of government. Security, so protection from external and internal threats. So that's why we have the police, the army, and to maintain security, peace and order. Another role of government is justice, to serve justice. So that's why we have courts, in order to enforce contracts and agreements, etc. Another role of government is protection of rights. So that's why we have legislations about defining what private property is, what are the bounds of what constitutes as individual rights and all that. Also working along with the executive and the security side to enforce our rights to private property. And the other 2, there's a spectrum of political theories. You know, there's on one side political thinkers who believe that the government should limit itself to the top 3 roles and should not meddle in the affairs of the free market. So let the free market reign and then introduce businesses and innovations to society. So, and then there's the other side of the spectrum who believes that sometimes the free market is not working well, so the government has to step in. It has to manage the economy like a parent in a household. It has to make sure that, for example, the inflation is controlled. It has to make sure that the currency is not inflated, for example. So that falls under economic regulation and welfare. This is the role of the central bank in connection with or in collaboration with the private banks and the economic planners, DepDev now, the previous NEDA. So this is where that function of government fits in. The last one is provision of public goods and infrastructure. This is also something that at least the modern Western democracies are doing. The talks earlier were talking about public infrastructure, free Wi-Fi, national broadband, the e-gov services. These are all under the provision of public goods and infrastructure role of the government. Okay, so as I said, there are political thinkers who believe that the government should really decentralize at some point and give this services, the delivery of their services to the private sector for whatever reason. I'll not delve deeper into why these political thinkers believe that way, but I'd like to mention that blockchain technology actually came from the cypherpunk tradition. These are computer scientists, programmers who believe in technology as a way to decentralize society. So when I was invited to talk about this, I asked to myself, or actually I'll ask the audience now, do you really want to talk about government and blockchain side by side? Because deep in their roots, there is a contradiction. Government leads towards centralization. Blockchain is a technology for decentralization. So how do we reconcile this? I'm not here to reconcile it. Maybe we will not be able to reconcile it until decades later, but at least present to you that it is what it is. And if you are thinking about blockchain for government or governance, I'm not really sure how we can implement it one way without compromising the full potential of blockchain itself, which is to decentralize society. Next slide, please. So those two roles I mentioned can be summarized as government as central manager. So it manages money and public resources, but the core challenge is, and this is something understandable, if you are an entity or an organization like the government that is tasked to manage public resources, for hundreds of years there's no technology that will allow us to manage public resources without a central entity. It's always like that. Pag halimbawa meron tayong group work as students, there's always a need to elect a leader. Sa kanyang mapupuntang ambagan, sa kanyang mapupuntang resources, and then siya magmamanage ng lahat for us. There's always an involvement of a human custodian that will do the planning and execution for us. That's the same for government. We are paying taxes, right? We are paying taxes to the government. The government is tasked to manage these public funds for us, and expecting that the government is delivering these public goods and infrastructure well and for the welfare of society, in theory at least. But we know it's not the case all the time. And that's a very timely topic, but I will not mention any more about that. So the problem with centralized custody is it's very prone to corruption, very prone to inefficiency, and swayed by political influence. So it's distorted by political influence. Makinig lang tayo sa mga Senate hearings in the last few days. We know what this means. The risk of having a centralized custody of public funds is corruption, inefficiency, political distortion. Imagine if we have public funds, we put it somewhere in a program, not a human being, but a program, computer program, that we can instruct in advance that these funds will go to this funds will go to this, and there's no human involved. It's just a series of programs and protocols. How efficient would the government be? And how efficient would our society be? This is the vision of having a programmable, transparent, auditable public funds management system. And in real time, that's the vision of blockchain technology. Okay? All right. We will dig deeper. Next slide, please. So what is blockchain? Blockchain is, first and foremost, it's a public, transparent, tamper-proof ledger. It's no different than a physical ledger where we record transactions. Every company has a ledger. They record the debit, credit, etc. Everything that happens in the company, financial-wise, or even other things, like they have a record book. So, blockchain is that kind of ledger, but it's digital. So what's special? It's digital. Well, we also have digital ledgers. Companies now are using like spreadsheets in Google or like hosted in the cloud. But what sets blockchain apart is this ledger is distributed across hundreds or thousands of computers. All of these computers have same exact copy of the ledger. And all the changes to this ledger are coordinated. There's like a sophisticated voting system. If you want to change something in this ledger, you have to propose a transaction. And then you have to sign it if you are authorized to do it, or sign along with other signers who are authorized to perform such a transaction, broadcast it to the network, and then all these thousands of servers who have copies of the same ledger, they vote if this transaction is valid. And then if they all decide, okay, this is valid, or maybe one or two servers will say, no, that's invalid, but it doesn't matter, majority rules. So it's like a voting system. So all these thousands of computers who have copy of the ledger, they'll say, okay, this is valid. All of us will update our copy of the ledger at the same time. So it's like a coordinated, decentralized, distributed consensus building. Automated. The servers I'm talking about, these are running the programs of the protocol, of the blockchain protocol. There are no humans involved. Except the signing, of course. The signing has to be done by the holder of the private key. But even then, this signing can also be automated. In the future, AI agents will be able to sign transactions. And they will be transacting among themselves using the blockchain network. In fact, baka mauna pa mga AI agents sa adoption ng blockchain kaysa sa mga tao. And they will be a lot more efficient globally compared to us. But it depends on us. Our legislators are already doing their job to push for blockchain. Maybe we can get there ahead of the AI agents. So it removes the need for trusted intermediaries. We don't need a system wherein we trust the holder of the ledger na, sige, may papabago ako dun sa ledger, pakibago na lang. Without validation, without authorization, you fully trust whoever hosts your ledger. We don't have to do that anymore. Although many of us are still doing that. We are trusting the server administrator to take care of the ledger. What if it's hacked? What if the server administrator has the interest to change the records of the ledger? What if our servers that run the eGov applications, whoever they are, will have the vested interest to divert or alter or tamper whatever records are there? What stops us from doing that? Or what stops the administrators, server administrators from doing that? Of course, there are protocols in place, I understand, but these protocols are conditional on trust still. Blockchain, again, I mentioned, it's an automated, distributed, decentralized ledger that is, the main goal is to not trust any human to do it for us. It's a trustless ledger. Okay? And I'd like to mention that beyond being a database or a ledger, it's actually a system of sovereign control. And this is very important. This is a very important aspect of blockchain that is currently being ignored in the push for blockchainization in government. They would highlight, they would say, let's go for blockchain kasi transparent, auditable, tamper-proof. But the aspect of control is ignored. Who controls the recording of those documents? It's still DBM or whatever government agency that will adopt the blockchain system. So the people are just watchers of the records being put in the blockchain. What if the records are not accurate? What if before storing in the blockchain, it's been tampered? And I can understand somehow why the deployment of blockchain systems is coming piecemeal. Like, ito muna, hindi pa natin kaya yung decentralized control. At least we have a tamper-proof ledger. Okay, I understand that. That's why in the next slides, I'm presenting the phases of, like stages of blockchain adoption in governance. So this is my own. I'm coming up, like how I see the evolution of blockchain adoption in governance will evolve. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is how I see the phases of blockchain usage or adoption in governance will roll out. Phase 1, which is where we are now, is blockchain becoming a transparency layer. So it's just a way to put a tamper-proof, auditable public database out there. We don't care right now, or whoever is pushing for this in the government, they don't care right now that there's only one or a few people who control the keys. It's just enough for them to say, oh, nag-blockchain na kami, transparent na yung ledger namin. Again, it may not be that bad. I don't think that there's a bad intention. It's just that yun lang ang kayang i-deploy for now. But hopefully, we don't stop at phase 1. Otherwise, it's just a facade system, like surface lang, papogi lang. Okay? Hopefully, we go beyond the phase 1. We go to phase 2, which is process migration. Okay, may slide pala ako sa phase 1. Can you please? Next slide, please. So in phase 1, transparency layer, blockchain is merely used as tamper-proof public repository. So they can put the budget there, land titles, government documents on-chain, and the focus is just visibility and accountability. But we're not talking about decentralizing the control yet. Phase 2 is, next slide please. This is the migration of the process itself. So, kung maglalagay tayo ng documents, let's say, land titles sa blockchain. If you do it in phase 1, parang nag-display ka lang ng document na itong title na to it's this document. If you want to check the hash to make sure na hindi siya tampered, you can check it. If you implement that on a phase 2, blockchain system implementation, these titles will be sent to the owners of the land who hold the private keys. So, kumbaga, this title will be represented as a document or in current lingo, they call that non-fungible assets or NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And then, this land title is given to you. You should have an address in this blockchain system. An address is a public representation of your private key. So you have to generate your own private key. Because in blockchain, identities are enforced by possession of private key. The government already has PNPTI. I don't know if it's also under the ICT. It's under the ICT, right? So, government personnel or anyone, I think the public also is allowed, can generate a private key for signing documents. A proper blockchain system implementation will have to have this in place. Dapat anyone can generate a private key in that blockchain network and show the public key or the address for that. So if I have a land title granted to me by, let's say, the government, that document represented as an NFT or a digital asset will be sent to my address. Once it is in my address, no one else can move that title. Not even the government, not even whoever runs the servers or the ledgers. This is what sovereign control means in blockchain. And this should not be ignored. We should not be stuck at phase 1. Phase 2 must happen if we want a real blockchain system, if we want to maximize the transformative power of blockchain technology. So payments can be done as well if everybody has like an address, public key. That will be your address. It will be shown in a QR. So currency can be represented as fungible tokens. Anybody can send to anybody. But unlike the digital peso right now, once you have this blockchain token that represents Philippine peso, for example, once you have that, nobody can block your transactions. Nobody can say, I think you don't have enough proof that you can earn this much money, we will not allow the transfer. Have you tried that? Have you experienced transferring 1 million pesos through the bank? I haven't, but I've heard people being blocked. If you have a currency that is blockchain based, you have sovereign control of your private key, your money is yours. I don't know if at some point the Philippine government will implement a currency in the blockchain, but at the same time they still want to enforce control, which is again like defeating the purpose. But anyway, it's up to whoever is gonna implement it, maybe central bank. But the point of blockchain is you can assert sovereign control of the assets that is issued to you in that blockchain system. So all the processes in government in phase 2, issuing certificates, issuing land titles, issuing licenses, driver's license, national IDs, all this can be issued directly to the citizens who have the address, proper address in the system. This is what I mean by process migration. So hindi na lang siya display lang ng documents. It also involves actual ownership of the documents by those who hold the keys, the citizens. So the result of this is efficiency and even more efficient automation, reduced administrative overhead, and of course, decentralization. So, hindi na tayo subject to the, sorry to say, but some in the government are corrupt, right? So they ask you money in order to have a license, whatever. So, which is unfortunate because I believe many in government really do their job well and to the best of their ability and with integrity. So with blockchain system in place, especially at phase 2, we can eliminate many of these inefficiencies and corruption and red tape and all the other things that come with centralization. So when we are at phase 2, I would say we are midway to the full potential of a blockchain-enabled society. The third phase is, from my point of view, the realization of the potential of the technology, but it also is very radical at the current time, if you hear about this. I'm not saying we should do this, I'm just saying that technology will lead us there by hook or by crook. Even if governments don't want to go in that direction, it will go there. In the same way that the internet has forced us to go in its way. Kahit gusto natin na naka-paper lahat, lahat, the internet, the technology itself has forced us to adopt digital systems. Forced talaga ang term. Because those who will not do, the countries who will not do paperless, digital, you will be left behind. The same will happen with blockchain. Countries who will stop blockchain adoption at phase 1 or phase 2, may iwan sila ng mga countries who have adopted phase 3 level of blockchain adoption. So what is phase 3? Next slide, please. Phase 3 is decentralized finance. In this phase, there's no more tax collection. There's no more central pot of money. And no more central planners who will say, okay, we have this huge money, 100 billion. Sa akin ang 10 billion dyan. O 1 billion lang para sa public infra. Wala nang ganon. Your tax will not be sent to a central pot managed by the government. It will be sent to a smart contract. And this smart contract is pre-programmed so that a certain amount, when a certain amount is reached, it will be sent to the company who will execute the project. And it can be programmed in such a way na ang pag-release ng pondo is dependent on the delivery of results. So imagine that kind of efficiency and imagine that kind of society. Wala nang deliberation ng national budget. Maluluma na yan. What the government will be doing is to make sure that the smart contracts are written properly. It will be displayed. It will be accessible to every programmer, to every computer scientist to audit before the paying happens or the fund distribution happens. So it's very transparent. The control of funds is very decentralized. It's blockchain all the way. Okay? And then all of us will be, there will be more resources left for the people. Kasi wala nang corruption. So, there will be more capital for people who are business-oriented. Hindi na mababurden ang mga businesses ng overtaxation or ng mga barriers in setting up your business. So, in the end, it will be a more efficient society. Smaller government, yes, medyo nag-shrink ang function ng government to only the 3 things in my first slide, di ba, yung 5 roles ng government. It will be mostly the top 3 roles, less about the central manager role of the government. Maybe there was still a little bit, but more of facilitating the system na lang, hindi na yung having absolute control of the funds. So, the focus is having self-executing public finance with codified policy and oversight. So again, this is more of an ideal. If you ask me, sir, paano natin gagawin yung phase 1? Phase 2, wala akong solutions na may offer right now. There are companies who are doing it. Maybe my company will have some interest at some point to offer blockchain systems for government. Right now, wala pa. So maybe a few years from now. At least the phase 1 stage and phase 2 stage. But phase 3, medyo masakit sa ulo isipin. Like, how can we ever transition to this? I don't know. Maybe it's chaotic before we go there. Maybe it's smooth transition. I don't know. It depends on our leaders. Next slide, please. So I mentioned this. We will have a more efficient society powered by blockchain, but that will also mean the government has shrunk in size, has shrunk in function. As the blockchain adoption progresses, bureaucracies will shrink, central planning will decline, but public trust will grow because the system is more transparent, it's rules-based. Wala na yung, kaibigan kita eh, so pwede na yan. Wala na, it's all rules. And these are not laws that can be bent by enforcers. These are rules encoded in the smart contract that autonomously executes, regardless of the opinion of any one of us. So there's less gatekeeping, there's more predictable outcomes, and the governance shifts from discretions to code. Next slide, please. So yeah, I just said earlier, this is very idealistic. But what I hope to present to you today is at least see the whole evolution of this. Where are we heading? We might get there, we might not, but personally I believe that it's inevitable. We will get there no matter what. And I may sound anti-government, but we are all for efficiency in governance, right? And blockchain can actually help us. It's just that it's counter to what most people think about efficiency in governance. When people think about efficiency in governance, it usually tends to more centralization. Blockchain is in the opposite direction, more decentralization. So this isn't about like being anti-government, it's about being pro-society or pro-efficiency in society. Governments that embrace blockchain will become leaner, more trustworthy, and more service-oriented. Those that will resist may lose legitimacy. So I'm talking about like maybe 50, 100 years from now. So medyo malayo pa yan. Or maybe not. The direction of evolution is clear. It's towards openness, automation, and citizen-first services. Next slide, please. So the challenge for today's leaders. Somehow, nasisense na ng mga leaders natin na we cannot ignore this technology. Kasi actually, lately we have been talking about blockchain, but other countries have already implemented their national ID system in the blockchain. Other countries have already issued land titles in the blockchain. Some of them are already in phase 2. So kumbaga, ang ating mga leaders right now, they can see it's already happening in other countries, and they also feel the pressure, or at least they see that this can be an opportunity for them to bring efficiency to government. For sure, adoption requires courage because leaders have to choose either to maintain the old system, which is prone to inefficiency and distrust, or embrace blockchain, fully embrace blockchain, which is lean and transparent governance. There is still governance. So I'm not totally anti-government. I am still pro-government, but I support an efficient government through technology.
So the leadership moment for all our leaders today is to align, make it their legacy to align institutions with transparent, auditable, code-driven systems like those that are enabled by blockchain technology. Next slide, please. So the takeaway is that blockchain is not here to make governments stronger. It's here to make society freer. Personally, ayoko ng matatag na republika. Gusto ko ng mas malayang Pilipinas. That's the idea there. And through blockchain technology, we may be able to achieve that. Next slide, please. As a closing quote here from Thomas Paine, one of the great fathers of United States of America, that government is best which governs least. Thank you very much for your attention.